Hey guys! Alright, so this is going to be a departure from my normal video and writing stuff because it isn't political or feministy, but it's a topic I feel really passionately about. It's not talked about enough, and I feel that I have a lot to say, and I have a platform to talk. So if you don't like it, you cannot watch this. Okay, cool. That being said, this is gonna get heavy, so you know. But yeah, I thought it was really important. So on August 11th, Robin Williams killed himself, and reactions were all over the map. And on social media, it sparked a lot of discussion about suicide and mental health and depression and etc. And it's a fairly prevalent thing. The National Institute of Mental Health in 2012 said that over 16 million Americans suffered at least one major depressive episode over the course of a year. And the CDC says that 1 in 10 Americans experiences depression. Yeah, I made notes for this because I felt like this wasn't something I wanted to fudge up or just, win. So if I look down, I'm sorry, that's why. But yeah, why am I talking about this? Now, despite this being a fairly common thing and pretty prevalent, there's still it's still very misunderstood. There's a massive stigma both with mental health issues to begin with, but also there's a stigma against people seeking help when they have a mental issue, so it's kind of like a catch-22. But yeah, depression, it's such a horrible, insidious, consuming thing to experience, and the fact that someone like Robin Williams, who seems so happy and so positive, who was such an awesome, inspirational person to so many people, and who had all the resources in the world, the fact that he succumbed to this, despite those things, it shows how really powerful it is, that this is a complex issue. It's not black and white. It's not simple. And perhaps most importantly, I believe, is that you cannot look at someone and know where they are or what they're going through by their demeanor or how they carry themselves. So I was struck by two different types of people who were very vocal when this all went down, both in my personal conversations and just online in general. The first were people who were very negative, folks who made seriously uninformed, judgmental, ignorant comments about people who are suicidal or who committed suicide. And you can believe I have a message for them. But then on the flip side, there were also like these amazingly awesome people who were so brave and started to share their stories. Even if it was something as simple as like, hey, I suffer from depression, fuck stigma, whatever. To me, that was extremely powerful and brave. But sadly, I even saw some people naysaying that, cynically judging folks who chose to share some of their stories via social media at this point in time, as if it wasn't useful, as if it was immature, cry for attention, as if there's no purpose, and especially saying well, they're not experts, they don't have licenses, etc., so, why are they even talking? And it's like, well, obviously just talking shit on them is helpful, isn't it? And I guess this idea that I'm going to throw out to you next is a little bit feministy, but I don't believe you need a degree or a license or whatever to be an expert on your own life or to be able to speak to your own experience. You are an expert to your own experience, and you have a right to talk about it. And I don't think we should stifle people from having something to say, especially when they're fighting a stigma that prevents people from getting help. And as far as having something to say goes, this is my primary message for people who did any of that judgmental stuff. Please ask yourself what that does to help anyone at all. With this judgmental talk about what people should have done or how selfish they were, it's not productive and it moves nothing forward, especially in regard to people who have killed themselves. Saying that does not bring them back. They're not here to hear you because they're not here. So they're not here to listen to your pious advice. It does nothing for them, and if anything, it's very hurtful for the people that they left behind to have to hear you say, "Oh, well, they were selfish. They didn't care about you." You don't know. Also, as far as the people who are here who are experiencing severe depression or contemplating suicide, hearing that stuff is not helping them in any way. It's not going to make them want to get help, and if we're not going to help them, like, why even open your mouth? You're making it worse. So please, if you are someone that says those things, let's have a reflective moment. Ask yourself, am I an asshole? I'm not even being like satirical, I'm being serious. Like, do I care about my fellow human beings? Do I really want to facilitate making someone feel so fucking low, even though they're already really low? Because I have the luxury of having a healthy brain and I don't understand where they're coming from, or I can't or won't empathize because I don't understand. Bottom line, we need to treat people more kindly. I feel like that's the general message. 1 in 10 people suffers from depression. People don't walk around with signs saying what they're going through or what they're dealing with. And you don't know what damage you're doing when you're just saying these things, and I'm telling you, you're doing damage. And the vast majority of people who are going through this, they might not feel comfortable challenging those cruel comments because either they're already beating themselves up enough on their own, or you've made it very clear that you're not someone they can talk to if they have an issue. If you're one of the people that did this, even just looking at social media, how many friends do you have? 1 in 10, you're alienating people, and they're not going to say anything to you because there's a stigma. But that being said, as you know, if you've gone through my website, I'm very big on people owning their experiences and breaking down stigmas. And I think that's important because that empowers others to do the same. And that being said, I feel very strongly about this issue because I was there. And for those of you naysayers who don't approve of what I'm doing right now, well, 1, you can fucking turn it off if you don't like it. 2, like, I'm telling you that you're wrong. Because for me, this is me speaking to my experience as someone who experienced depression a few years ago, pretty heavy. Seeing some other people, like even just on Facebook that I didn't know very well, post those things, it's like, hey, something that I dealt with, either, I got over it or I'm continuing to work on it. Just seeing that made me feel less alone. From my personal experience, that I felt is kind of like something I've always had, like I have to hide. And it made me feel less shame about my experience. And if I can help one other person feel less ashamed to share their experience or less alone, or if I can educate anyone that I do know to be more empathetic, since maybe talking to me as a person that they know and that they care about, I'm a real person versus just someone in this abstract group. Like, to me, that's worth it to me. And I will not get into any details, but just over 3 years ago, there was a point where I was very much close to not being here. That's how we'll put it. I was absolutely drowning. Despite seeking help, I was completely just immersed in depression. And there were various factors that impacted this, and I can't get into them for various reasons. But that's where I was. And I am a strong person. I am a resilient person, and I've been through a lot. But the pain that I was going through at that time was just absolutely profound and inescapable. I don't feel there are words. I loathed myself for feeling this way. I hated it because I'm supposed to be so strong, and here I was feeling so weak and just pathetic. And then just, that just kind of cycled, you know what I mean? It just made it worse. Simply existing and being conscious just became this really painful chore. And this lasted for a few months. And ironically, when this was happening, you never ever would have guessed that this was happening to me. There were only a couple people who did, plus my therapist, because I was actually trying to get help for what was going on. And I seemed fine. I mean, I was on my dance team. Career-wise, I was doing awesome things at work. I was running programs and trainings and seminars on healthy relationships and bullying and relational aggression and communicating and feelings and self-esteem. And I was just doing awesome at work and, with all those topics, so it was pretty fucking ironic. In fact, like, the week where shit went down, like, ironically, I had, like, one of the best compliments ever given to me in my entire life. I was at a banquet for a program I was running to celebrate my volunteers that I had, and at one point, a few of them got around and just said a few words about the program, what it meant to them, etc. And one volunteer stood up and started to talk about me, and how inspirational I was, and how cool it was to see someone who really loved their job and was making a difference. And he said, when I grow up, I want to be Jesse Settler. That's who I want to be. And rather than being able to savor this amazing moment where, like, what more could I possibly want? I've inspired somebody. that's like all I could want. It should have been a total win, but I felt like just a total fraud, like a total sham. And I felt like, everyone seemed to think I was this great, amazing person, and I was a shell. Like, I didn't even feel like a person. I didn't even feel like a human being. And here I was, like, oh God, like, it was terrible. And, I mean, we can back up and, like, you see, obviously, like, I was not thinking clearly at all. Like, I was not coming from a place of logic. I was just completely clouded by my depression. And I didn't want to feel that way, because who could possibly want to feel that way? And I was trying, but I just kind of felt like I was sinking. And it was really, really hard, and it made just everything impossible to see. And it started to feel just like, it really just hurt to exist. I mean, I don't really know how else to describe it. And this right here, like, knowing what all that felt like, is kind of what compelled me to share this with someone close to me recently who I had never told before. This isn't exactly something you share with a bunch of people until now. But a good friend and I, we've been friends for almost a decade now, love him to death, and Hook is like one of our favorite movies. So, like, when Robin Williams died, like, I texted him and I was like, oh my God, Robin Williams, Bangarang forever. And I was really taken back because he sent me some really fucking harsh messages that were like, fuck him, he was so selfish, he had children, all these things. And I was kind of like, whoa, like for me, coming from a place where I was there, man, I could easily understand how in the moment, you just want the pain to be over. So yeah, and like I try to explain that to him. I'm like, well, the people that are super depressed that kill themselves, like, they're not coming from a place of logic. Like, it's a place of desperation. A lot of people, they don't even really want to die. They just don't want to feel what they're feeling, and like, it kept going, and I was getting really upset because I'm not depressed now, but had this is someone that I really care about. What he was saying was upsetting me. And I was angry, but you don't change people's mind or get them to understand things by swearing at them or flipping out on them. You need to, share with them and try to get them to change their minds. So from here, and they were going on, like, saying, like, no, like, I was saying, like, listen, you clearly don't understand cognitively what these people are going through. He's like, well, they clearly don't understand that people care about them and that they should just talk to somebody. And it's not that fucking simple. And so then, like, it came out where finally I was like, you know what, I gotta be honest. This happened like 3 years ago. It is what it is. And I'm going to tell you right now, like, from where I was coming from, and, like, this is my experience. I can't speak for anyone else, but, like, as I said, there are two people that I really, like, confided in. The one she's amazing. Frankly, I mean, I would not be here if it weren't for her. I wouldn't. But, like, and as things were going, like, I was telling her how I was feeling. Like, I wasn't really quite there yet, but, like, as things started to get, like, pretty bad, it got to the point where I no longer told her things because in my mind I was in such a bad place cognitively and mentally and everything that, like, to me it seemed like an inevitability. And I in my head was trying to protect her because I didn't want her to feel blamed. I didn't want her to blame herself. I didn't want her to feel like there was something she could have done. So I purposely started shutting her out, even though I knew that she cared about me. So that's kind of bad. And there were just a lot of people. I mean, I have a lot of people that love me, and I don't know what to say. It felt like I was out at sea all alone, and I was just drowning, and I couldn't see any of that. Another person, and I guess just, like, speaking to that, I did absolutely think about my family and friends, and I addressed that in something that I wrote, which was pretty much just like, I am so fucking sorry. I know this seems so selfish. I am so sorry, and I know no one will understand, but I just simply cannot go one more second with feeling the way I'm feeling. And it was just this place of desperation, like, I mean, that's all, you know, kind of logic goes out the window. You're not in a place where you can make, like, good decisions. I pride myself on being a logical person. Logic here, Jesse was over here then, you know what I mean? It was what it was. But yeah, kind of bringing it forward, and this is primarily what I think is really freaking important. Right before things really went down, I was kind of at a place where I was like, this is I think everything's gonna happen. Like, that's where I was. I ended up telling somebody in a pretty matter-of-fact way. Like, there were no tears, there was no hysterics. I was just like, I think this is it, you know? I told someone one of the people I was closest to, and they reacted to me the way I see people talking shit on the internet now. They said, like, you are being so selfish, you're being so immature, normal people don't talk about this, Jess, which is like, well, then I guess I'm not fucking normal because this is where I am. And even then in my moment, I was like, don't you know that people don't wear signs with enough that they're good? Whatever. And it was really not helpful. It was really horrible and hurtful and not empathetic. And I told my friend about this, and he was like, well, fuck that person. Like, they have to be a sociopath for them to have been there and saw you in so much pain and just been like, you're being immature, you're being selfish, which is what they did. And I was like, okay, my point in telling you this is, though, that is like the things that person said, that is what you are saying now. That is why I'm saying, please, if you don't understand, if you don't get it, that's fine. But at least keep your mouth shut, because I'm telling you, you're hurting people when you say that stuff. And I guess, like, that's, like, there was a disconnect. Like, you know, when I told him about that person, he was so quick to be like, well, that person is a douchebag. And I'm like, well, they really were. But you would never say that to me because you love me and I'm your friend, but you're okay, you know, just, like, abstractly talking about it as if people aren't actively going through these things. And, like, I felt like I really had a breakthrough because that person, like, well, first they're just like, you know what, I don't agree, but I will go by what you're saying because I respect you. And then a couple days later, they actually texted me and they were like, whoa, you know, like, after reading everything, after reading and after considering your story, like, I am an asshole and I'm so sorry and I hope that you can forgive me for being so ignorant. And, like, that was amazing to me, and I'm like, you are an amazing person. Like, took a lot of guts to, like, be able to admit, you know, being wrong. And I hope some people, I mean, not only you need to come out and say anything, but, like, just please consider what you're saying. You would never want someone who is in that position that you care about to be told those things were in that moment. And that's kind of how I explained it to my friend, like, that why it's so important to not say that stuff. It's kind of like, like, if you're someone that is there, like, you're so down, like, you are in such a bad place that the thought of even existing for another second, you can't even imagine existing on this planet for another second. So when someone comes over and is like, P.S., you're selfish, in addition to everything else, you're selfish, it's like, well, fuck me. Like, As if I needed another reason to not want to exist or to think that I didn't deserve to be alive. Like, here you are telling me I'm selfish. Great. It's just not helpful. It's not. And, like, again, like, why? But yeah, moving back from that. Like, I feel so deeply because, like, it's been really bizarre. Like I said, it's been over 3.5 years. This isn't something I think about on a daily basis or even, like, this isn't something I think about very often. But since the conversations have come up, it has, like, forced me to be, like, consider, like, well, like, how did I feel when I was in those moments? And it's, like, my heart feels so heavy when I think about, like, how things could have, like, how, like, those last moments, like, those would have been my last moments. And here's the thing, because this is also talking to people who are considering this or who are having a rough time. For me, my one friend who I, was trying to hide from, she ended up pretty much not leaving me alone, like, showing up, not leaving, and me being like, you need to leave, and her being like, well, guess what, if this is where you are, I'm not leaving because you need to do something, like, this isn't okay, like, we can't take this chance again, and blah, 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 and, like, I'm really fucking thankful that I had, like, a moment of lucidity, just, like, a little moment where I picked up the phone and I called the suicide hotline, and, like, was it helpful? It was, I'm not gonna lie, like, but pretty much for me, like, I had a moment of lucidity where I was able to put myself in a position to be accountable and to get better and to really do shit that I needed to do to get better. And that included, like I said, there were a lot of different factors surrounding how I got into this position. It involved changing some of those factors. It involved me having to consciously get more help and say, like, hey, you know what, like, I'm taking care of my shit, I'm going to go to therapy at least twice a week, I'm going to do whatever, I'm going to journal all the time, I'm going to be super freaking conscious of my thoughts and acknowledge the ones that are not healthy and that do not serve me. I actually ended up, I chose, at the time I lived alone, I felt like, you know what, for at least the next year I should not be alone, especially considering what happened. And, having to, like, tell the two girls who are two of my really good friends when we moved in, like, I'm like, hey guys, just so you know, this is what's going on, this is what happened. And they were both just, like, devastated and, like, why didn't you tell us? And it's like, I was over here, I was not, but yeah, and it was, I'm not gonna lie, guys, like, it wasn't a good time, like, it sucked, like, that few months, it sucked, like, it was awful, because I was still depressed, and, like, slowly things would get better, and then they wouldn't, you know what I mean, like, it was really freaking hard, and I had to work so hard, like, to be okay, but, like, I'm so glad I did, it's, like, I remember one night, like, a few months later, that happened, like, I don't know, about 6 or 7 months later, we had, like, a Christmas dinner. It was, like, our 6th annual one, like, me and, like, this group of friends, including my roommates and everything, and we actually had, like, of all 6 years, like, it was the most fun one there had ever been. We had such a blast, right mix of people and everything, so, like, everyone has to bring a date, whatever, like, it was just so much fun, and, like, the next day, me and one of my roommates, we were cleaning up, and, like, I don't know, we were just having a good time and everything, and then, like, out of nowhere, she said to me, she's like, I don't want to, like, put a damper on the mood or anything, but, like, when we were all just, like, eating dinner and laughing and drinking and, like, at a table all together, I couldn't help but look around and think, how different it would have been if you weren't here, and how close you were not being here. And, oh my gosh, like, it's been so long since I've given any thought to this, but, like, I am so thankful that it didn't work, or, whatever, like, I'm so thankful to be here, like, I'm so thankful, and, like, I went through this horrible experience, like, any other horrible experience I've had. Did it suck? Yes, like, a lot, but, I honestly believe with every fucking fiber of my being, I'm a stronger person now, and I'm absolutely more empathetic, I'm a more loving person, and I think I take things for granted a lot less, and I take people for granted a lot less. I can't imagine, like, all the people that are in my life now, like, the new people that I've met in the last couple years, some of the experiences that I've had, like, some of the things I've done, like, my goodness, you know what I mean? Like, I'm so thankful for them. And I'm, I just, I guess that's part of like the whole empathy thing. Like I said, when I was going through this experience, if you didn't know, you didn't know. A couple months later, someone posted a video from like a dance practice I was at like the day before stuff went down. And I knew what day it was because it was like at a different venue than we normally have practice. We only had it that one time. And watching that video, I saw myself dancing around and being like sexy and stuff. And it's just like, it scared the shit out of me because it's like, that person is not a person right there. Like, she's like a shell. And it really frightened me that I could so seamlessly look normal when I was hanging by a thread. And I think that's why, like, God, like, and this is even a reminder to myself, like, we all need to be nicer to each other because you don't know what someone's going through. And seriously, if you're going through anything or if you have an issue, hold on to those little moments where you feel happiness. Like, hold on to them. Like, tell people when you have those moments where you do feel well enough that you're like, hey, you know what? I know this isn't a good idea. Tell somebody, get help. There is absolutely no shame in getting help. Whether it's a thing where in the moment you feel really shitty and you need to call the suicide hotline, or like, hey, just getting a therapist, it's absolutely worth it. And there shouldn't be a stigma, because if you're seeing somebody to sort through your thoughts and to figure out how to communicate better and figure stuff out, you are actively dealing and taking responsibility for the shit you're putting out into the universe, and that's fucking awesome. I asked a few different people to give me their insight to this, because some of them have dealt with issues themselves or had family members, etc., and I really appreciate them helping me because I gave a lot of thought to this. But one person, I wanted to just like directly read what she wrote. My best friend Davina, who's one of the most amazing, like, I can't imagine if I wouldn't have met her. I asked her, what would you want to say to people who experience depression or who are considering suicide? And she said, wait an hour. The feelings, just keep swimming. Wait an hour. The feelings you're experiencing won't last forever. Things can and will get better. Value the time that you have. Show your loved ones that you love them. The smallest moments can bring you so much joy if you allow it. Take 5 minutes of every day to reflect on what's going on around you. It can't always be worse. There will always be at least one person who will be affected by your life, whether you realize it or not. Find happiness in anything. Everything will be all right. And, I mean, as someone who's been there, I don't want to downplay any pain that anyone is feeling. But I'm just begging you, when you have the moments when you can, get help. Talk to somebody. It is okay, and I promise it does get better, and I'm living proof of that. And I think that's part of the reason why I felt like I'm in this position. I was in the position where I wanted to make this. I made a status that was liked by like 80 people about fuck stigma for depression, and then I almost felt like a hypocrite. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm saying fuck that, but I'm really afraid to even share my personal experience. But then it's like, you know what? It is what it is. That's something that I went through. I don't think I should have to be ashamed of it. I'm a highly productive person. I've accomplished a lot. And what happened that time, it doesn't take away all of my achievements, and it doesn't take away the things that I've done since. It doesn't take away like all the friendships that I've made. And like, that was one of the things like I really thought about too when things were happening. It's like, my God, like, I've done all these awesome things before, you know, I've done so many things in my life, and this is the one thing people will remember. I'll be that girl that did that. And like, I didn't want people to be, I didn't want to be remembered for that. I want to be remembered for, you know, doing AmeriCorps and for getting the president elected twice and for empowering women and empowering everybody and for laughing and, you know, everything, for my spirit. I didn't want to be remembered for that. And I'm so thankful that I'm so thankful that things did get better, and I had to fight for it, and it wasn't fucking easy, but things did get better, and I'm really, really glad that I'm here. And I really, really hope that if anyone is going through any issues, I'm always willing to talk to anybody or to help you seek help, because I am a big proponent of like, everyone could use therapy. There's no shame in that, and there's no reason to suffer if you don't have to, and you don't have to. And lastly, surround yourself by people that make you feel good about yourself because life is too short to give time to anyone else. So yes, wrapping up again. I'm not re-recording this, so whatever messiness there is staying because it was really authentic and from the heart, so I'm leaving it as it is. And I really hope that collectively we can all be nicer to everybody and to ourselves because we all deserve it. And have a good night.